Hello YouTube, this is Western Kansas Prepper here with my review of Doomsday Preppers episode 10. And this episode had 3 preppers, and as usual I'll go through them in order, one at a time, and tell you what I think of them and where they fit, how I rank them in the episode, and then how I rank them in terms of the show overall. This will bring us up to, I believe, 33 preppers that they've reviewed. So these are the latest 3. I do these in order of who I think is least to most prepared, and you'll see I'm starting off here with this lady, who I'm calling the Birdflu Saleslady. Like a couple other people in the show, she apparently is worried about bird flu, although, again, I don't know how much of that is the show demanding, the producers demanding that she pigeonhole her fears into one discrete issue. Although with her, it does appear she's not preparing for much else to me. You know, all she appeared to be worried about was having some type of measures of protection against bird flu. And to be honest with you, her particular measures weren't really as good as this lady's, who I called before the uber germaphobe. I believe the urban germaphobe had a little bit more, one, better understanding of how she needed to quarantine and isolate people, and number 2, just had a better understanding of how to be proactive about not creating conditions for contagion. So she doesn't appear to be that knowledgeable about it. It's nice she has her little store. But her protocols, to me, seem kind of lazy. I mean, she just had her son out there and was like, just, okay, we'll wash him with a solar shower. You know, I don't think that's a good enough protocol. She needs to be a little better than that. You know, I think it's just one small point, but she has, you know, high heels, doesn't appear to own any hiking shoes. It just says, I'll cut off the heels. And maybe it's a joke, maybe it's not, I don't know. But certainly she needs a couple pairs of shoes she can actually walk in. You know, I couldn't tell whether she had food preps or they just had her in her pantry for a second. It looked like maybe she had some food preps. So I'm just going to go ahead and give her a tiny bit of credit that maybe she has some food preps. She had no weapons to speak of. She lives in the middle of a community, so you know, it's not, she says, oh, is my home going to be a fortress or a prison? With the degree of preps that she has, or the lack thereof, it's going to be a prison. She does not have any measures to safeguard anything she has, or hardly even keep out the bird flu if that's her goal. So I don't rank her very high. I think this is kind of a bad. You know, I think the scary thing to me, she had that little store, and she had some what I would call mall ninja type of prepping stuff. And, you know, she had that filter tank, and those people were like, so we just put the dirty pond water in here and then it'll be fine? And she's like, yeah, absolutely, it'll be great. You know, it'll be super. Without explaining at all the need to purify the water, perhaps, and it's only a filtration device, especially if she's going to be dealing with people with new and undiscovered strains of bird flu, which we do not know how they will operate. I think you need to be a little more precautious than, oh, my 2-bucket system, which I just got through this last week in making a 2-bucket system. I wouldn't tell anybody, yeah, your water is good after you send it through that filter. You need to purify it too, at a minimum. If you're especially dealing with unknown toxins, unknown toxic agents and viral agents, that's not very good advice. I don't know if she should start to sell a product or whatever, but it was kind of offensive to me that she was pretending that was all fine. So anyway, that's that lady. Oops. And there's this guy I'm calling the Urban Hatch Dweller. And Urban Hatch Dweller has a nice, you see him there with his well-designed hatch in his garage where he can go down in there. They can hole up, he says, for 60 days and wait out a bad event. And the experts knock him for, oh, well, that's, you know, only short term. He's like, no shit. Of course it's only short term. So I think that was a bad critique from the expert. I mean, they're usually okay. You know, Southern Prepper 1 and Engineer 777, they usually get pretty good advice, even though they're kind of pigeonholed in the amount of stuff they can say by the show. But I thought they're a little, I mean, I don't know why they would say that about this guy when clearly it was all about a temporary solution. He has a pretty good amount of preps. You can even see there behind him. He's got, you know, a lot of water. He's got bug-out bags all over the place. They didn't talk about firearms with him, but I noticed when they were leaving the house on their little hike, they had 2 firearms. He had a rifle, and the older son had a pistol. So they have some firearms. In fact, you can see one right there in the background. That's looks like a shotgun to me in the background. So they didn't talk about firearms, but since they're in the show, I'm giving him credit for having firearms. So when they talk about securing, defending the house, you know, he at least has a plan. Not only that, he's got a bug-out plan, too. He's got bug-in, he's got bug-out. Now, I think his bug-in plan is a lot better than his bug-out plan. His bug-out plan is to hike 15 miles to a boat that may or may not be still moored there. It makes the statement, you're a lot better off on sea in SHTF. I don't know why I said that. Verbal tick I'm working on. Going out to sea in SHTF than you are, you know, on land. I think that's crazy. That's totally crazy. Now, he had a decent little desalinization system to give him water on the ocean, which is good. Food's a lot harder to come by at sea. Depends on the scenario too, as if you're more easily found. If your boat leaks, there's just a lot more perils at sea. Historically, people have died a lot more at sea than on land. Like I say, it depends on the scenario. Maybe there are some scenarios where being at sea would be better. I can't think of too many. I think most of them, if it's a means to an end, if you're trying to get across a sea or across an ocean to go somewhere else, maybe. But I don't think I'm convinced that that's the better solution. So I don't like his bug-out plan, but at least he has a plan, you know, which is better than some people on the list. So give him some credit for that. So I think his overall preparedness is pretty good. He even had some board games to play with his kids. That was good. He had, appeared to me, had good fuel supplies around him. I think he had pretty good level of preparedness. Now, he has nothing sustainable, you know, like some of the people on this list, for a sustainable food source. So he's not going to be at the top of the list or nothing. But it's a decent plan. He's clearly put some thought into it, so it's good. That brings us to the last person in the episode, which is this guy, who I'm calling the Missourah Community Organizer. And being from Kansas, of course, we always have a healthy rivalry with Missouri. That's how they say it in that state, is Missourah. You don't say Missouri. If you're from Missouri, you say Missourah. Kind of like if you're from Mississippi, you don't pronounce the whole thing, you say Mississippi. Anyway, so, or in Kansas we have the Arkansas River, which we pronounce the Arkansas River. Who knows? This is the way it is. And community organizer, of course, he's the Obama of his prepping community. Anyway, but he's going to City Hall and he's talking to people on the street about prepping. I think that's good. I think he got some support around him. He's got the message out there. May made himself a bit of a target, but other than that, that's good. So I think that's a good effort. He's got some skills with firearms. He's even trying to learn to shoot with a gas mask on, which looked pretty difficult to me too. Was building a Faraday cage, had a little utility vehicle he was working with. They didn't talk too much about his stores of food and fuel and, you know, ammo, but come on, puppy. No, quit it. Quit it. Quit it. Sorry. Okay. I'm not beating my puppy, but she makes really loud noises when there's an animal outside. Okay. God. Alright, sorry about the little interruption there. Anyway, this guy, he has, I believe, some good stores of stuff. He appears to be pretty resourceful, which is good. He reminds me a lot of Desarty 1, actually. you know, in the way that he preps, the way he improvises some things. I think the advantages he's got over this RD1, of course, is that he's got the community involved a little bit, and then additionally he also is not, you know, doesn't have the serious health problems that this RD1 has. So I think that gives him some advantages, and I think he's a fairly good entry on the show. So I'm going to rank him pretty good. So anyway, going to the big list. Starting at the top of the list, we got the food hoarding lady from last episode, and she's still last. Her plan's terrible. Then I've got our newest entry here, the Birdflu Saleslady. Again, I don't think her plan's very good either. I mean, the one thing she was prepping for was bird flu, and she needed some nurse to come in there and show her how to do it. So what the hell? She had no supplies or knowledge of how to do anything. So other than at least she had a concept of a plan, you know, not very high. Party Cat Chick, hey, she's moved up 2 spots, so good for her. Going down, same people here, Uber Germaphobe, Leftover Cold War Professor, Bird Flu Shrink. Now, I don't know why some people on this show have bird flu as their worry. And there's other types of viral disasters that could occur. My worry is, you know, modified Ebola, airborne variety of Ebola with a longer incubation period. That shit scared me. But these people worried about bird flu, SARS, that's fine. Keep going down, a lot of the same names, till we get down pretty far. I've got Urban Hatch Dweller down there ahead of some people like Thumb Dad and Woodchucker, but behind the Idaho Bug Eaters and God, Guns, and Whiskey. Urban Hatch Dweller's got, like I said, a decent bug in plan. At least he's got a bug out plan. It ain't great. He's got some supplies. He's got a couple of farms. It didn't look like much, but he had a couple. So, you know, it's pretty good. 13. Not bad. Keep going up. And again, I mentioned Desarty 1 when I was talking about Missouri Community Organizer. And, you know, they're pretty close. I'm going to give the nod to Missouri Community Organizer because I think he's a little more well-rounded. He doesn't have the problems Desarty 1 has, and he's got people involved. So I wasn't overly impressed with anything about him as far as, you know, like, wow, what great preps, you know. But all around, it wasn't too bad. So I gave him 9. Everybody, I really had to think about whether I liked him more than Chucky Lady and Hubby or not. That was a close call. I think that their food preps are so good, and their weapons preps are pretty good too. So I gave them the nod over Missouri Community Organizer, and they're involved in their community too. So that's a pretty good place for them, I think. I think that's a good place for those. And then we still got the same people at the bottom of the list, including shipping container people, missile silo, etc. Everybody at the top of the list is the same. So those are my rankings for this episode. Tell me what you think of my rankings of the newest people. Think are those fair or not? Let me know. This is Western Kansas Prepper signing off.